Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner back with the Decatur for the DeKalb County Library System with another jewelry with Jen for kids. And today we're going to be making this really nice, colorful beaded and braided bracelet. Just like that. There we go. So easy to make. Very easy, very simple, lots of fun to do. And all you really need, you can use your regular pliers. You'll need cutters or scissors to cut your leather that you're going to be using to braid. You'll need a selection of beads. I put 5 on this one. You can do 5 or 6, and it just depends on how many beads you want on your bracelet. But I'm using 8mm painted wood beads. You'll need some end clamps, these little things, to put on the end of your bracelet that will hold your lobster clasp, that will clasp it to your wrist. And you'll also need jump rings in order to attach the lobster clasp and to use as the loop for your lobster clasp to close. Another little thing I'm going to give you, I'll explain when we get down to the other camera. But the tools that you're going to need are your round nose pliers, square pliers, and your cutters. And these are just standard supplies. You really don't need it a lot with this one because most of it is just done by hand. You'll also need a ruler because you need to measure out your leather pieces. So let's get going with this and get this bracelet made. All right, so what I have here is 3 pieces of leather, and my wrist is 7.5 inches. So I cut it 8 inches long because when I braid it, it's going to get a little bit shorter. It's going to go down to about 7. And then when I put my clasps on, my little end clamps and my lobster claw on, that'll add another inch or so. So I've got 8 inches here. And the first thing that we're going to do is take our beads and decide, you can decide what order you want them to go in. I made this one all the same color. And then, of course, this one has all different colors, and it just depends on what design you want. Those of you who get kits, you will get 6 beads, and you can choose which colors you want to use if you only want to do 5, or you can use all 6 beads. So the first thing we're going to do is take our wire, or our leather. I'm probably going to keep saying wire because I work with wire so much. And you're going to take your leather, and again, if you have kits, you're going to have 3 pieces of leather in there, and you're just going to match up the ends. Oh, and just let me give you a little bit of information. Say you don't want to waste your leather, and you need to cut your strips for your bracelet. If your wrist is, say, 6.5 inches, you want to give yourself at least 7. And I'd probably go with 7.5, maybe 8. And you'll just end up cutting a little bit off the back. But if your wrist is 6.5, give yourself at least 7, maybe 7.5. And then what you can do is use your jump rings to create a chain if you need more length. But that's how I would do it. Okay, so now I'm going to take the ends of my leather and put the ends together like this. And then I'm going to measure down about 2 inches, maybe 2.25 inches from the end. Like so. And then I'm going to, I should have done it with the other side because, no, this is fine. Let's measure that again. Make sure I have my 2.25. All my ends are nicely flush together. There we go. Here's my 2.25. Good. Now what I'm going to do is start putting my beads on. and doing my braid. So the first thing I want to do, and it might be easier. The reason I said I was going to give you this little guy right here is so that you don't have to hold this as much. You can go ahead and slide one of these on, and that will hold, oops, that'll hold your leather in place so that you don't have to try to hold it off. And you don't have to feed these all through at the same time. You can feed them through one at a time and make your life a little easier than I'm doing. So I'm going to do it one at a time. 1, 2, and get in there. And it's nice and tight. It needs to be tight so it'll hold everything in place. Get in there, get in there. Go, go, go. It's in there. I just need it long enough so I can grab the end and pull it. There we go. So now I have them all in there. I'm going to make sure the ends match up. There. Now I'm going to remeasure my 2 1/4 inches. There we go. I'm going to slide that down to my 2 1/4 inch mark. Get down there. Measure and remeasure again. Yes, there we go. So now it's time to start braiding. So now I don't have to hold this as tight because I've got this little thing on there holding things in place for me. So now I want to make sure that my strands are side by side. It's like that. I have 3 nice strands. Now I need to figure out my design. What do I want? I think I'm going to put this nice coral one in the center, and then the blue beside it, and the green beside that. So this is what mine's going to look like. Or should I put the blue in the center? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Let's see what that would look like instead. Okay. I like that. That's pretty. I did like the coral in the middle. See, the design process takes about as much time as putting it together. So I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to use that bead. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is slide my first bead, which is the green one in this case, on my center strand that's in the middle. And now, this is one of the reasons that these pliers are good to have around, because these are wooden beads and they're painted, and sometimes the paint gets down in the hole of your bead and it kind of clogs it up a little bit. So you can take your pliers and open it back up. Okay, let me find my center. Again. Slide my bead on. And now here's a trick that might be good. Check all of your beads to make sure they're going to fit on your leather before you start braiding. That way you don't have to stop and try to figure out how to hold your beads on while you're trying to open up the drilled hole in your bead. Okay. Go, check it out. Good. How's this one? See that? Every single one of them, I have to open up a little bit because you can see the paint just kind of drifted to the inside of the bead. Yay. That's good. Check that one. A little tight. Let's open you up a little bit. Good. And look, I can see that. I can see that. See, that's only half open. Let's open that up. The other side. And there we go. Excellent. Okay, so I've got my bead on the center strand, which is where I want it. I double check my measurement again, just to be safe. Good. Beads on there. I'm going to push it up to where my little ring is, like so. And then I'm going to start braiding. So what I want to do is hold on to my bead and bring one side. I'm bringing it towards me and over the center cord. And then the other side also over the new center cord. So every time you braid, the outside cord becomes the center cord. So I'm going to go back and do that again. So I'm going to bring this outside cord over the center cord, and then this becomes the center. So I'm going to bring the other side over the center cord. So there's my first little braid around my bead. So now here's my new center cord. I'm going to pick up my next bead, which happens to be the blue one. I'm going to put that on that center cord. Let that slide down, like so. And again, I'm going to bring that cord over towards me, and then over the other center to the other side. Grab my third bead, which is my coral bead, which is right. And it'll be right in the center of my design. Slide that bead up, that cord on. Come on, there we go. You can see so far. Again, I'm bringing the cord over toward me to the center, and then the other cord over the center cord. Let's take a look at what we've got so far. Yeah. And then I'm going to bring my blue bead onto my cord that's in the middle again. Slide that on. Get down there. Go, 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 go. Okay. My outside cord towards me, over the center, and my other cord that's closest to me, over the center. And I have one more bead that I need to put on. Look at that, isn't that pretty? One more bead. Notice how I'm holding on to my beads and my leather cord so that it does not shift on me. One more bead to put on that center cord. Slide that on. And take it down there to rest on my little crossover point. Bring that cord over towards me, over the center, and the other cord back over the other way. And there is my braid. Neat, huh? Now, I have my 2 inches on this side. This side is longer, which is fine, because now, if I wanted to, I could add another bead, but I don't want to. I'm keeping it down to the 5, and then I'll just cut this down to the same size that this is. So now what I'm going to do is turn this around. Well, actually what I'm going to do is measure. So I'm going to cut this down to my 2 1/4, just like the other side. Snip that off with my scissors. Measure it again. Make sure I got it right. Very good. And now I need to continue braiding my ends. So again, I'm going to bring my cord that's the farthest away from me over the center cord, and then the one that's closest to me over the center, and keep doing that until I get all the way to the end and I can't go any further. And it just depends on how tight you want your braid to be. It can be loose, it can be tight. It's up to you. And then when I get to where I can't go any further, get back over there. I'm going to hold on to the edge, and I'm going to see, now that I've braided this, and this usually comes out to about 2.5 to 3 inches. 2.5 because I only have 5 on there. And if I added the 6th one, it would be about 6 inches or about 3 inches. So now what I have with this tail over here is about 4.5, about 4 3/4 of an inch. So this is going to be, see, that's 2 inches down to there. And my wrist again is 7.5 inches. So I need at least the 7 inches because my lobster clasp and my clamps and my jump rings are going to add another inch. So I want to make sure I have enough so that I can fasten it. So I need at least another 1/2 inch to an inch in addition to my 7.5 inches. So I need about 8.5 inches in total, minus my clasp and my ends, which would be 7.5, which was where we started. So I have about 4.5 here. And this is about 7. And then I'm going to make my little chain and add my clamps. That's going to take it up to 8. And then if I want it a little bit bigger, I can add some more jump rings and make a chain. So this is good though. I'm going to snip this off a little bit so that I just end up with 2 inches on this side. And now that it's braided, I can cut it nice and easy. Just cut that off. Now I'm going to bring these ends together. I'm going to grab one of my little clamps here, and I'm going to slide it over my 3 ends. Here's my clamp. slide it over the ends of my cord. And I'm going to give it a little squeeze. I'm not going to close it all the way. In fact, if you want, you can close it a little bit before you put it on so that you don't have as much squeezing to do. So I've got all three of my cords inside my clamp. I'm going to squeeze it until it's closed. And I like to check and make sure that both of the ends are all the way inside. Squeeze it again. And then once you get to where you can't squeeze it anymore with your fingers, just take your pliers, preferably your square pliers, so you don't put a rounded dent in it, and give it another little squeeze. Now I know it won't move. So I'm going to check the ends and make sure they're all nice and firmly in there. Now I'm going to give it a big squeeze. Turn it over and give it, see how this is nice and closed? Give it another big squeeze until it's nice and tight. So one side is all finished. And let's go over and do the other side. So I'm going to take off my little ring here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Time for you to go. And I'm going to braid this side. Now, here we've got our little outside braid to do. Now we want to start with the one that's on top. This one's on top. Now before we started on the outside and came toward me and then away from me, but this side, because the braid is already started, we want to start with the one that's on top, and that just happens to be the one that's closest to me. Bring it over the center, and then bring the other side over the center. And come on, hold on. Back over the center again, and over the center. And I'm just going to keep going until it doesn't want to cooperate with me today. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, got to start it. And bring it over again. And over. Center. Well, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to flip it over. So when I get to the other side, I want to flip it over. And then that way, I can continue the exact same way I did on the other side. So I'm going to bring this outside one that's away from me, towards me, over the center. And the one that's closest to me, over the center. And keep braiding until I have the entire other side done, until I don't have any leather cord left to braid. Just keep going, and there we go. That's the last one that I can do. And now I'm going to measure again, because I want this side to be the same as this side. So what have we got? We had about 2¼ inches. And this side is about a little over 2¼ but I need to cut off these ends. So when I cut this off, the shortest one is right there at the 2¼ mark. How do you like them apples? Don't say them apples, kids. Say those apples. Okay, let's just clip that off until it's nice and even. Yay. Here we go. And let's put our clamp on. So I'm going to take my little clamp. It's hard to see on this white background or this cream colored background, I know. So I'm going to give it a little squeeze until it closes up just a little bit. Squeeze it, not all the way, but just a little to get it started. Then I'm going to put my 3 leather cords inside. I like to bring them as close together as I can, so it's nice and easy to get them in there. And I'm going to squeeze just a little bit, just enough so that I can check and make sure everything is in place. I'm going to squeeze it again. Here we go. And now that I know that it hopefully won't move, I'm going to take my pliers and give it another little squeeze. Check those sides, make sure everything is in there. Squeeze it. Let's see how that's a little off a little bit. I'm going to open it up a little, straighten those out, make sure they're nice and tight in there. Get in there and squeeze on one side. Check the other side, make sure they're in there. Yes, they are. Squeeze on the other side. See how that's sticking out just a little bit? Let's push that in there. I can use my fingernail or I can use one of my little jump rings and just slide it back in there. There you go. And now I'm ready to give it a big squeeze. Nice tight squeeze on one side, flip it over and give it a nice tight squeeze on the other side. Good. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that neat? So the only thing left for me to do is check my wrist and see how much of a chain I want to make with my jump rings. So right now I have about, well, not quite 7 inches. So let's put a jump ring on. And here is the proper way to open your jump rings. You want to find the opening, which is right here in this case. It's my little opening. And I'm going to put my pliers on one side of this opening. And then I'm going to take my thumb on the other side and I'm going to push down until it's open. See, nice open jump ring. I'm going to do that again. Clamp down on one side of the opening, take my thumb and push it until it opens. See, neat. Now another way you can do it is to grab another jump ring, clamp on one side, take your other pliers on the other side and twist. And now it's open. You never want to take your jump rings and pull them apart because that ruins the circle of your ring and it's really hard to get it back into a nice, perfect circle when you do that. So now what I'm going to do is put a jump ring on. And I need at least 1 jump ring on each side, one for my lobster claw to clasp to link into, and the other one to hold my lobster clasp on. So first thing I'm going to do is put my jump rings on each side. Close that up. I want to make sure it's nicely closed. The ends nice and together. There we go. Put a jump ring on the other side. Close that one. See what we have for length now. It's a little over 7. So Put another one on. And I like 2 jump rings in my little loop just for security's sake, because I think it just makes it a little bit stronger. Make sure my jump ring is nicely closed. There we go. Then I'm going to add another set of jump rings. So I'm going to put another one on this side. I have 2 on each side right now to hold everything nice and secure. Now I'm going to add another set of jump rings on one side. So I have a small chain. See, now I have a little chain, and I'm going to measure again. Let's see what we got. So yes, I have about 7.5 inches, and then with my lobster clasp, it's going to take it up to 8. So that's good. So I'm going to add one more jump ring on this side for my clasp to hook into. It's this one. So I have 2 jump rings in one of my little clamps, and then I have 1 jump ring connected to the 2. On this side, I also have 2 connected to the clamp and 1 connected to those 2 jump rings. And I'm going to put my lobster clasp on. Add that to the 1 jump ring that's on the end. Close my jump ring. And there we go. It is. It's nice and ready to wear. Let's turn that so it looks good. There it is. What do you think? Easy as pie. And then you just shape it a little bit until it can go on your arm. Isn't that awesome? Oh, I love these. They're so easy. They're just easy to make, easy to wear. You can stack them if you want to wear more than one. Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. Look at that. Wouldn't that be neat? So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our tutorial for the day. In your kits, you're going to get your beads, you're going to get your leather, your end clamps, several jump rings so that you can make a chain as long or as short as you want, lobster clasp, and your little ring that you can use to hold your leather together while you braid. So that's it. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope you will come back for more. And I really hope that you will share pictures of your finished piece on the library Facebook page so that we can see what you do, what you've done, and see whether or not you like what we're doing, so that we can continue to give you more programs like this. So until next time, isn't that awesome? So until next time, I hope that you will have a good week, a good weekend, and we will see you later. Enjoy. Bye-bye.